So, as you may or may not be aware, in Texas, there have very recently been massive winter storms um, that have had a lot of consequences. A lot of people lost power. Some people had pipes that burst and stuff like that. But if you look around where we are in this neighborhood, our power never went out. Our neighbor's power never went out, and we didn't have any pipes burst. We were basically void of really any problems that came with the snow, aside from being we didn't drive and we're stuck inside, but that was the same with everyone else. So, a natural conclusion that you might be drawn to in this kind of situation would be maybe, I guess, it's just all over now. Because if you look around, the snow has completely melted. It melted very quickly, which was surprising to me personally. Um, and it's really just a kind of strange situation. And it's like, I wonder if maybe something happened. Like, this is kind of the breeding ground for maybe like where conspiracy theories come from. Obviously, there isn't a conspiracy theory about this, but uh, this kind of rhetoric could be applied to other things. Although that's not really what I'm talking about right now, but there's definitely something interesting to be had there. But what I kind of more wanted to mention are the things that you don't really get just from. Sorry, there's a road right here. But there are a lot of things that you can't really get without looking at the complete picture. So, in a scenario like this, the reason why our power never went out is because very close to us is an emergency care facility. Um, so we were attached to the same grid, and that's the only reason. So a lot of people have chalked it down to luck, but it isn't. Well, okay, that's another question entirely. It is pretty much luck, but there is reasoning behind it, because I looked at the zoning plans, and if you look, it is proportionally like more likely that larger houses such as these, and which typically have people who are making higher incomes and probably have more money, they are more socioeconomically advantaged, are considerably closer to these major care facilities. Now, there are some areas in Grapevine as well that aren't so much like advantaged, that still are close to a facility, but most of the medical facilities are situated in areas around other like big retail areas, and those big retail areas are around these areas with concentrated wealth, which actually means that the people who lost power the most were those who were socioeconomically disadvantaged. And those who were severely socioeconomically advantaged are the ones that are least equipped to deal with this kind of thing. And you can kind of have a little bit of blindness. I think kind of before I started really listening and paying attention to a lot of the things I was hearing, my general idea about it was that it was all over. Sorry, the lighting here is not amazing, but I wanted to do this while I was walking. But anyways, I was thinking, why it's all kind of over now, right? The snow is melted. We all have power back, but no, people's houses have been flooded after their pipes have burst. Even my physics teacher, actually, and that was kind of among the different eye-opening kinds of things that I listened to. He left all of his faucets running because, like I said, they ran out of power for about 4 days, and they didn't, their pipes, which they kept running, still burst, because they couldn't be warmed by the house because their heating was off because they were out of power. And he also mentioned that if you looked across the street, almost every single other house, or he said every single other house by him, had some kind of drywall or some kind of just like wet gunk garbage. I don't remember the exact words, but there's all of this damage that has happened to the people who are least equipped to handle it. But you don't see it here. If you look around here, you don't see any of that. If you look around, at least for me, where I am, there's no indication that that has happened. So it's very easy to be misled, which is an analogy that can be applied to a lot of other things, in my opinion, where you don't see the full picture and you may not see what it's like. I think especially that this is something that those who are, such as myself, who are in more privileged positions for whatever reason. I haven't done anything. Mine is purely luck-based because I was just born into a family that had wealth. There's absolutely nothing I did that like entitles me to any kind of, like, I don't know. It's a strange kind of thing to think about. But anyways, there's nothing particularly significant about me that means that I get to live in a nice neighborhood, whereas someone who is almost is like me in almost every other regard might be somewhere else. It's, like I said, purely luck. And for those of you that are also maybe in similar situations as me, there is a phenomenon that I've noticed with myself that I think, and among others that are in similar situations as me, it's easy sometimes to lose sight of things and not really get the full picture. I still haven't seen with my own eyes what it's like. And I'd probably, if I did, I might even have a more substantial reaction than the one that I'm having right now. But as it stands, like, it is difficult for me when I'm surrounded by all of this to keep in mind just how damaging it was. Because if you look around here, it's peaceful. It's quiet. Nothing's happening. Like always. There's no indication that we had a huge winter storm at all. If I posted this video like 3 months later, you'd probably have no idea. Or, well, actually, the leaves would probably be back on the trees or something along those lines. But it essentially has gone completely back to normal. And what I was saying is that for those of us that are just, if you are surrounded more by wealth and are in a more wealthy environment, you are also around most of the time other people who are in a wealthy environment. So your perception on what events are like and the consequences of things might be warped. Now, I think we all kind of recognize this, at least to some extent, even if not that much. But I think there's also something to be said for the kinds of things that you don't recognize, because it's a subtle thing and it's hard to always keep in mind. And I know I'm certainly guilty of this before. I try my best to see things from multiple perspectives and really get what it's like, but it's a difficult thing to do. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted to make this video to kind of be a little bit of like social commentary, a little bit of just like, I don't know, a long walking train of thoughts about just the kinds of things that it's easy to lose sight of, and the kinds of things, I guess I'm sure there's probably a cognitive bias for this. I can't think of it off the top of my head, and all I have with me is my phone, which I'm using to record right now, so I can't look it up. But there might be a cognitive bias or something associated with that, and I kind of wanted to point that out, as well as the fact that it's kind of ludicrous, at least to me, that people in socioeconomically disadvantaged areas, which I know you are, I'm just going to say poorer areas, areas with less wealth, people who are less fortunate. Those kinds of places are further away from major hospitals and medical facilities. They are the furthest away from all of those places compared to those with more wealth, when they're the ones that need it the most. And I think this kind of phenomenon happens in a lot of other things, and it doesn't really get a whole lot of attention. And I just kind of wanted a little mini reminder, and I am certainly going to look into this a little bit more and get to know a little bit more about this. And I'll put I don't know, I'm gonna make a bigger video, I think, maybe about this, although don't hold me to that. There's no telling what's really going to happen, but I don't know. You can come to your own conclusions, whatever you'd like to think, but I just wanted this to be a little bit of a, I don't know, just a glance into the things that I think about sometimes and that bother me, because I don't like seeing people who are struggling, who have been severely impacted by this winter storm, and they are the ones that are the least equipped to handle it, which I've said like 3 or 4 times now already, but it's just baffling to me, because, like, really sit and think about it. If it were one of these houses around here, one of these where people have more means and more wealth, it wouldn't be a super huge issue. Even if, like, the home flooded, that'd be absolutely terrible, just like it is in every other scenario. But they have more of a means to make house repairs and to get those kinds of things fixed, whereas the other places do not. And that is why the conclusion that I have come to is that the government, the state government, is somewhat responsible, actually, no, entirely responsible, to compensate those who lost power and who had their houses flooded and had all these terrible things happen to them, which I think is already happening. Like, they're going to be compensated, but, like, I'm not really completely sure about what the situation is with insurance. Sorry, I'm just trying not to be run over. I don't know enough, and I'm going to do more research so that I can understand the situation more. But the moral, I think, is that clearly the biggest problem with this winter storm is that we weren't prepared for it. We're Texans. The last time we got snow was probably 7 years ago. The infrastructure wasn't in place to deal with what has happened here. We weren't prepared for it. We weren't at all prepared for it. We didn't have anything, and we thought we were just gonna get kind of like a fun snow day, and we were kind of a little bit excited about it, and then everything happened, and we kind of realized how wrong we were. But when I say we, I don't really mean me, because we weren't impacted that much because of the reasons that I've already outlined. Instead, it was the people that were impacted were people that are significantly, like for us, if that had happened to me, we have other stuff in our house that we can do to entertain ourselves, and we could, like, find other people. We have other connections. Like, we have a better, I guess, just support system to deal with that. If we were the ones that lost power, we were the ones that had our house flooded. But it wasn't us. It was and there's nothing that can really be done about it retroactively. But I just think that clearly provisions need to take place to prevent obviously to prevent the kinds of shutdowns that had to be done on the electrical grid. And most importantly, I think there probably needs to be a bit of a redesign so that there are more support systems in place for those that are that are socioeconomically disadvantaged, those who are in small neighborhoods, small houses, apartments, everything along there, because these people are, I mean, I don't even need, they're like my friends, my family, the people I go to school with, uh, and there's nothing really that makes them any different from, if you're from a more wealthy family, there's nothing that makes them any different from you. In fact, I think it's suffice to say, a lot of people say, oh, maybe people who are poor are just lazy, or they because they don't work hard enough. But if you look at someone who works in like like some kind of retail store, something, maybe they're a cashier, a manager, or people who are at gas stations, car washes, all of these different things, they're working their asses off. They just aren't getting a lot of money for it. And so why should they like suffer for it? Why should they be punished for it? And like I said, the thing that kind of sucks is there really just isn't anything we can do about it other than talk about it, which is what I'm doing. But I just thought maybe I'm starting a conversation. Maybe I'm just wasting air. I don't know. Let me know what you think kind of about this. And the like. But yeah, thanks for listening to my long rant about nothing, essentially. Well, not about nothing. It's about something significant, but I'm just not a very good speaker. And it's all like train of thought, so, and it's not going to be edited. So maybe there's going to be something in there that that I just, like, I don't know, messed up speaking somewhere. I don't even know. I just need to end. So goodbye. Have a wonderful day. And I hope you, I don't know, maybe think about some of the things I said, or not. Just whatever. I'm so bad at this.